After analyzing the Honkai Star Rail art style and getting to know the characters as well as exploring their designs, it was fun to me to take what I learned and use it for coming up with idol-inspired illustrations. I did this for Genshin Impact in the past as well. I like idol anime a lot in general, so getting to combine this with some characters I also like, ones from Honkai Star Rail, was a lot of fun. Hi, I'm May, and today we'll talk about the third idol group, Noctura. As I show you the mood board I used as inspiration for this group, I'll talk about some general themes and aesthetics I used as inspiration for the designs and illustrations here. Maybe you'd like to guess what characters I drew for the group based on this and the visuals I'm showing here in the comments. The first aesthetic would be Bohemian. Bohemian is a free-spirited and creative aesthetic rooted in art, individuality, and non-traditional lifestyles. Visually, it features flowing fabrics, layered clothing, earthy and jewel-toned colors, and eclectic accessories like chunky jewelry, flower crowns, and shawls. The overall vibe is relaxed, artistic, and wanderlust-filled, embracing imperfection, nature, and a life led by emotion and inspiration. As another aesthetic, I have indie. Indie is an aesthetic centered around individuality and creativity, often tied to independent music, film, and self-expression. Visually, it features thrifted or vintage-inspired fashion like cardigans, flannels, denim, and worn-in boots, often paired with muted colors, Polaroids, and a laid-back nostalgic vibe. The overall feel is moody, artistic, and authentic, celebrating personal taste, quiet rebellion, and a love for the offbeat. The last aesthetic I'll mention here is Yakuza. Yakuza is a bold, dramatic aesthetic inspired by the style and symbolism of Japan's organized crime groups, often blending danger with refined elegance. Visually, it features sharp suits, grayscale tones, traditional Japanese tattoos, dragons, and weapon motifs, often paired with moody cityscapes and black and white imagery. The overall vibe is intense, loyal, and powerful, mixing tradition, rebellion, and quiet authority. The first character I drew for this group would be Danheng. What I'll talk about for each character would be some thoughts on roles the characters could take in the idol group. First would be their role on stage. As with the previous videos, I'll start with a description of the role, then I'll go over why the character fits to it to me and how they may act in the role. The main dancer is the one who leads choreography and takes center stage during dance parts, usually with strong technical skills and presence. Danheng fits this role because he's disciplined, precise, and focused. He'd take dance seriously and train until every move is perfect. He'd probably stay late to practice alone, nail every performance with clean technique, and quietly inspire the others through his consistency. Now for the second role, the behind-the-scenes role the characters could take. This would include tasks they may do to help the idol group that don't involve singing and dancing on stage. The lyricist writes the group's songs and helps give emotional depth or meaning to their music. Danheng may not say much, but I could see him using lyrics to express the things he doesn't usually say out loud. He'd write poetic, honest lines that reflect his inner thoughts, the kind of lyrics that feel simple at first, but hit harder the more you think about them. The group dynamic role is another role I'd like to add here. This would be mostly about the character's personality and how this affects the way they interact in the group. The mom of the group is the one who looks out for everyone, keeps things on track, and makes sure people are okay even if they don't always say it directly. Even if he doesn't show it openly, Danheng definitely has this energy, always checking that things are done right and quietly caring for the team. He'd be the one who reminds everyone about the schedule, makes sure no one overworks themselves, and gives quiet advice when someone needs it most. That's it for the first character. Now for the second character, which would be Luoka. First, his onstage role. The sub-vocalist supports the main singers by adding harmonies or short solo lines. They're often more low-key but still important. Luoka fits this role because he's quiet and doesn't try to be the center of attention, but his voice would definitely leave a strong impression when it comes in. He'd probably sing with a soft, maybe even haunting tone during emotional parts of the song. He may be the type who surprises everyone with how powerful he sounds in just a few lines. Now for the behind-the-scenes role. The visual is the member who stands out the most for their looks and style. They help shape the group's aesthetic and vibe. Luoka already looks like a model, and with his elegant design and mysterious energy, he'd naturally draw attention even without trying. He'd wear the most graceful, perfectly coordinated outfits, probably help choose the group's visuals behind the scenes while still looking flawless, even off camera. let's talk about the role I could see Luoka take on group dynamic-wise next. The diva is the bold and dramatic one, stylish, confident, and not afraid to stand out. Luoka wouldn't be loud about it, but he definitely has quiet diva energy, graceful, poised, and likely aware that he looks good doing anything. He'd stay calm and composed on stage, throw a dramatic hair flip mid-performance, making being mysterious and fashionable look effortless. Let's move on to the third character, Jingyuan. We start with his on-stage role. The leader is the main face of the group. They guide the team, handle public appearances, and usually sing some of the most emotional or difficult lines. Jingyuan fits this role because he's composed and dependable, with the kind of calm presence that people naturally want to follow. He'd be soft-spoken in interviews and thoughtful with his words. I could see him singing with a deep, emotional tone that leaves a strong impression without needing to be flashy. After the onstage role, let's move on to the behind-the-scenes role next. The social media manager handles the group's online presence, posts updates, and keeps fans engaged with the group. Even though Jingyuan may not seem super tech obsessed, he's observant and clever. He'd know exactly what kind of posts fans would respond to. He'd probably write thoughtful captions, share behind the scenes pictures with subtle humor, while having this really chill but polished vibe online that fits the group. Lastly, let's go over Jingyuan's group dynamic role. The responsible leader is the one who stays on top of everything behind the scenes, organizing schedules, checking in on members, and offering quiet support. Jingyuan is definitely this kind of leader. He's smart, organized, and even when he seems relaxed, he's always watching and planning ahead. He'd make sure rehearsals stay on track, step in when someone's struggling without making a big deal out of it, and just generally keep everything under control in a calm, supportive way. To me, it feels like he'd be the one everyone trusts to keep things together without even needing to ask. The final character for this group would be Blade. Did you guess any of the characters correctly when I showed the mood board at the start of the video? Now let's talk about Blade's role on stage. The rapper is in charge of the most intense and emotional parts of the song, fast, strong, and full of presence. Blade fits this perfectly because he doesn't need to say much to express a lot, and when he does speak, it hits hard. He'd rap with a calm but heavy energy, like every word carries meaning. Maybe he would even leave the whole room silent when he finishes his verse. Here are my thoughts on Blade's behind-the-scenes role. The composer creates the instrumentals and builds the emotional sound behind the group's songs. Blade might not be loud or showy, but he's introspective, maybe even having a strong emotional sense, which would come through in how he builds music. He'd probably work in silence, create dark and dramatic tracks, and then quietly drop a masterpiece that sounds like it came straight from the soul. Finally, Blade's group dynamic role. The Ice Prince is the mysterious, emotionally distant member who doesn't talk much but always leaves an impression. Blade fits this really well. He keeps to himself, rarely smiles, and has a quiet intensity that makes him stand out without even trying. He'd stay in the back during group interviews, give short answers when he does talk, and still somehow end up being some fans' favorite member because of the mystery and vibe. In a way, he may be the quiet anchor that holds things together while never admitting to it. After going through all the characters, let's have a look at possible connections and relations. I could see these Honkai Star Rail characters have two Genshin Impact characters as idols here. Danheng would remind me of Xiao because both are disciplined and serious while carrying a quiet sense of responsibility. As idols, Xiao would probably echo Danheng's intensity and precision as a main dancer, showing flawless control and sharp movements born from years of solitary training. Where Danheng adds steadiness and lyrical depth as a lyricist, Xiao's role could lean more toward expressing the burdens he has through karma, through performance. It may lead to a raw, almost haunting quality to his stage presence. Like Danheng, Xiao could also take on a quiet caretaker role, though his way of supporting the group might be less gentle and more strict, reminding others not to falter. Both share the reserved but loyal energy, which would make Xiao a fitting counterpart in this idol group. Luoka would remind me of Venti because both embody elegance, mystery, and an artistic presence. He would be more playful and carefree, different from Luoka. Still, both fit well into the sub-vocalist role, surprising listeners with vocals that feel more powerful and emotional than expected. Behind the scenes, where Luoka would be the visual with polished model-like energy, Venti would contribute to the group's charm and aesthetic in a whimsical way. In group dynamics, Venti wouldn't be a diva in the same way as Luoka, but his cheeky charisma and undeniable presence would still command attention, adding a lighter and more free dynamic into the whole group. Jing Yuan would remind me of Kazuha because both are calm and thoughtful. They can also fill a leadership role without needing to demand it. As idols, Kazuha could be the leader or main vocalist similarly to Jing Yuan. However, where Jing Yuan's style feels structured and reliable, Kazuha's would be more poetic and fluid, almost as if each performance is a wandering story carried by the wind. Behind the scenes, Jing Yuan's practical social media manager role would align with Kazuha's reflective haiku writing tendencies, both knowing how to connect with fans through quiet thoughtfulness. In terms of dynamics, Kazuha also shares the responsible leader energy. His leadership would feel more gentle and inspiring than authoritative. Together they show two sides of the dependable idol group member archetype. Blade would remind me of Wanderer because both embody the Ice Prince archetype, distant, enigmatic, and carrying heavy emotional weight. On stage, Blade's role as the rapper fits to Wanderer since both can express intensity and raw emotion through powerful, cutting delivery. Where Blade channels his quiet suffering into music production as a composer, Wanderer might lean even further into experimental, dark beats that reflect his fractured identity. In group dynamics, Wanderer could echo Blade's aura of mystery. Fans would be drawn to the one who rarely speaks but always leaves an impression. Both represent the dark anchor of the group, acting as a counterpart to the lighter personalities. With that, we've gone through all the characters for the third group. Which character and which of the illustrations I drew do you like most? Do you have any other ideas on what these characters could be like as idols? Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments. I have the illustrations included in this video as prints on my shop, and on the backsides of these prints are actually the illustrations from back when I drew Genshin Impact characters as idols a while back. Similarly to how I sorted idol characters to the Honkai Star Rail characters in this video, I also aligned the characters on the back with Honkai Star Rail characters that at least kind of fit to me. For example, on the backside of Dan Heng's print would be Xiao. On my Patreon, you can find full screen recorded process videos, time lapses, and full resolution images of my art. And if you would like to see the videos where I drew Genshin Impact characters as idols, I'll leave a link to the playlist with this here. I've also studied the Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail art styles in several videos before, in case this is interesting to you. Thank you for watching, have a nice day, bye.